Wendy, you're on mute.
Good morning, members of the media, and thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. As the title says, we're hosting this press conference to set the record straight on the Molefi complaint. We have a panel of three employees who work for Old Mutual. We've got Celiwe Ross, who's the Director for Public Affairs, Strategy, People and Sustainability. We've got Karen Land, who is the MD for Personal Finance and Wealth. And we've got Nazreen Kaida, who's our Head of Tax. We'd like to let you know that you can put your questions in the chat box and they will be addressed, but we'll be having a Q&A at the end of the press conference. When you do ask your questions, please let us know your name and surname, as well as which publication you represent. I'll hand over to you, Celiwe.
Thank you very much, Wendy, and good morning, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us today. As Old Mutual, we are deeply concerned by how this matter has played out in the public domain, especially since it remains our commitment to ensure that this matter is settled, whilst also complying with the tax and pension laws of South Africa and to the satisfaction of our customers. I will do my utmost to inform you about the matter and answer your questions as openly as I can, along with my colleagues, Karen and Nazreen. As we've stated before, this is a complex matter. It involves a divorce decree on pension assets, and that decree was received by us after our customer's retirement had been processed. We were not informed that our customer was divorced at the time of processing his retirement. At retirement, a portion was taken in cash, with the remainder paid into an annuity, as legally required by the pension laws of this country. Pre-retirement divorce orders can entitle non-member spouses to a portion of pension assets in a lump sum, and these would be taxable if they were withdrawn in cash. This is what Mrs. Molefi would be entitled to pre-retirement. However, post-retirement, which is the situation we find ourselves in, the allowed format is a portion of the member's annuity income. It is always and remains Old Mutual's intention and commitment to facilitate a settlement between the parties involved. However, we needed to ensure that in facilitating the payout, we comply with the Pension Funds Act and the Income Tax Act, given the complexities that I have now outlined. We have investigated ways to solve the problem, but require the cooperation of both our customer and his ex-wife. As Ms. Molefi has shared, we met with her and her mother's legal representative on Tuesday morning. It was a productive meeting, and they have acknowledged and recognized the complexity of the issues at hand. In the meeting, we outlined two potential solutions that would lead to Mrs. Molefi receiving her share as per the decree. On the same day, we detailed in writing what those options are. Yesterday, we followed up with detail of what the standard expected tax impact of each option would be. And correspondence has largely been handled with Mrs. Molefi's lawyer, and that correspondence has been cordial, with them requesting clarity wherever it was required. Our team has been fully dedicated and remains so to resolve this issue. It surprises us that Ms. Molefi has put out a view on X suggesting otherwise. As a responsible business operating in a stringently governed industry, we cannot disregard the Pension Funds Act or the Income Tax Act when facilitating a payout. We are committed to helping ensure full and final settlement between the two individuals involved, as envisaged in their divorce agreement. We think that our actions speak for themselves. We have prioritized the situation since it has come to light, and we have been transparent and accessible both to the family as well as to the media. We trust that this demonstrates our commitment to resolving this situation as quickly as possible in a way that is fair to everyone. We acknowledge the frustration that Ms. Molefi feels, and we remain committed to resolving this. Furthermore, we acknowledge that our customer service concerns that have been shared regarding the liability of our service offering has been aired in public. We are concerned and we are listening We are actively addressing the challenges with the highest level of priority. We take these matters very seriously, and we're exploring practical improvements to enhance the service that we provide to our valued clients. In line with this, we also recognize the importance of consumer education. We are prioritizing efforts to educate our customers on the claims process and what they can do to facilitate a smoother experience. We believe that if we can empower our clients to actively engage in this process, we can achieve more favorable outcomes for them, because ultimately we want to pay all valid claims. Lastly, I would like to reaffirm our core values as a brand. We strive to be trusted. We strive to be an advice-led organization. And so good quality financial advice matters. It's at the core of who we are and what we do. We value all our customers, and we deeply regret that some of them have had a less than satisfactory experience with us. We remain committed to serving all of them and keeping our promise to them. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be issuing a formal press statement shortly after this. Thank you once again for your attention and your continued support. We are dedicated to transparency and to resolution, and we appreciate your understanding as we work through this complicated process. Now, I will open the floor for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Deliwe. As mentioned earlier, please post your questions in the chat box. I have my colleagues waiting on hand to pass the questions to the relevant panel member. And please remember to tell us the name of your publication as well as your name and surname. Thank you so much.
We don't have any questions coming in as yet. I'm sure there will be in a few
let's give them a moment.
seconds. Okay, we've got the first one. Appreciate if you can please just say where you're from, as well as the publication you're representing. But the question is as follows: is the ex-wife registered to pay her income tax?
I'm happy to, Karen, you can go ahead and take that question. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think that question is relevant, and it's private information of the ex-wife. The point is that as we settle this matter between the two parties, we do need to ensure that the correct income tax is paid.
Do we have any more? Elaine, Noel?
Not at this stage. I'm sure
Okay.
people are typing.
Yeah.
So we've got a question from Lesedi at Radio Turf, and she's asking, who is the actual policyholder?
And Karen is probably best placed to answer that.
Sure. So the customer in this instance is Mr. Molefi.
The basically we don't do this. Actually, yes, that is basically 2 weeks. So then that means we're going to just after Easter, April.
Another one coming in, Kulekani from Business Times. He's asking, is there a timeline under which Old Mutual hopes to resolve with the daughter before it gets to a point of litigation? And how long would that be?
I'm happy to respond to that one. We are working to resolve this as quickly as possible. That is our intention, and that has been our intention and remains our intention. And I think it's also important to clarify that we need to resolve this matter between our client and his ex-wife to make sure that it gets paid. And our intention is to do that as quickly as possible.
Another question from Oliver Dixon at SAFM. Why did Old Mutual not explain to the public the complexity of this much sooner? i.e. that this involves a claim post-divorce where the member withdrew the cash portion already.
Kieran, do you want to take that?
Sure. So, there is information that is private and clearly private under POPIA. We have ensured we don't breach that. There is also information about customers that I suppose a normal person would expect that a respectful company does not discuss in the public domain. And I think divorces are often traumatic experiences for families, and certainly not something that they'd want publicly talked about. Unfortunately, we have stuck to that, but unfortunately we are now in a position where we just can no longer keep quiet about that, and we do need to lay it out.
Catherine Child from Business Day is asking, in plain English, is the problem Mrs. Molefi wanted more than was due to her in terms of the divorce settlement? Maybe you can clarify that.
Okay, so in plain English, the problem is one of timing. The divorce order envisaged a situation which was pre-retirement, and we are in a situation where we are post-retirement. So the divorce order envisaged a lump cash sum. We are in a situation post-retirement.
Any other questions, Elaine, Nawal?
No questions coming in just yet, but I'm wondering if Karen can't maybe just repeat the response to that, because I think the live sign came up and there was a slight delay. So if you can just maybe repeat it, Karen, we'll appreciate it.
So this isn't a problem relating to amounts, it is a problem relating to timing. The divorce order envisaged a pre-retirement situation and envisaged a cash lump sum, and we are post-retirement. So we have presented alternatives to get to a solution, but they are not easy.
Thanks, Kieran. Question in the chat from Vernon Pillay from IOL. The Molefi case went viral and sparked a national outcry. How does Old Mutual defend the numerous South Africans that say their claims have not been paid for frivolous reasons? While I understand some of these cases could not be true, could Old Mutual speak to how they will that will address their brand reputation moving forward?
I'm happy to take that one, Nawal. As we've shared in numerous conversations, we are deeply concerned by the comments that have been expressed by some of our customers relating to their experience with us at the moment of claiming, which is a real moment that matters. We've shared previously that 9 out of 10 of our funeral claims are paid in less than 4 hours, oftentimes in less than 2 hours. And if they're valid with all the right documents, it can happen really quickly. There are, of course, instances that can lead to delay or non-payment. What are the things that lead to a delay in paying out a claim or a funeral claim in this particular example? is incorrect documentations. And those normally we will let the client know which document we do need. And if they have a financial advisor, an accredited Old Mutual financial advisor, they'll be able to facilitate that process for the customer, and we will pay as soon as we have the right documentation. The other issue that can lead to a potential delay is when death has happened under unnatural circumstances that require the South African Police Service to be involved. As you can imagine, we can't control the timing of that investigation, but we work as quickly as possible to be cleared to pay so that the deceased can be buried with dignity. However, as an insurance industry, we are subject to fraud, where individuals come and claim against a death that either hasn't happened or claim to be a beneficiary that they are not. In those instances, we once again do need to investigate, and if we do find that fraud is involved, we do not pay. It is difficult to comment on every single case that has been mentioned on X, because whilst every customer is sharing their experience, we would need to look at every case according to its merits and be able to respond accordingly. And as I said, we're concerned and we recognize that we need to rebuild that trust with those who have been disappointed, but we also value the relationship and the commitment of our customers to us.
If I may add, Siliwe, in a typical year, we pay out over 100 billion rand in investment payments, in benefit payments, in risk claims. And that's to nearly 1 million people on average. I think the problem we sit with is, we always look for reasons to pay rather than reasons not to pay. But even like as tiny percentage, 1% of 1 million is still 10,000 people. So we are really looking to try to educate, to make sure people understand terms and conditions of their policies, that they know what documents are needed so that we can do things swiftly. But even a small percentage of the number that we deal with in a year is unfortunately quite a lot of people.
Thanks, Karen and Teliwe. Another follow-up question from Oliver Dixon at SAFM. Is this the first time Old Mutual has had to process a claim with this set of facts and circumstances?
Karen, do you want to take that?
So normally divorce decrees are relatively straightforward. So if we receive a divorce decree pre a member's retirement, we can deal with it quite swiftly. Similarly, if we receive a divorce decree post-retirement, which deals with a right to an annuity income, we can deal with it quite swiftly. This particular matter is complicated, as I said earlier, by the timing, because the format of the decree is a pre-retirement one, but the member is post-retirement.
If I may add, thank you. If I may add, the other issue that we have from an administrative perspective is that the divorce decree goes to the member. It does not come directly to Old Mutual or any pension fund administrator. This is something that the National Treasury is looking at because it does cause delays in the process, as you can imagine.
A follow-up question from Lesedi at Radio Turf. She says, do you think Old Mutual handled the social media backlash well?
Elaine, before we go to that question, could I just ask Nazreen, who is our group head of tax, just to raise the administrative point that she was addressing? She wasn't live and the point may have been missed. I'd just like to go back to her and then we will respond to Lesedi's question.
Thanks, Siliwe. I was just adding to Karen's point that the divorce decree goes directly through to the member and not to the pension fund administrator like ourselves. And for that reason, we are compelled and we have to wait until a member lodges that divorce decree with us for us to actually even know that it exists. So as you can imagine, that causes delays.
I think, Teliwe, you can answer the question about the social media and how we...
Thank you. There's a question here from Lesedi Mokhashwa Ramare from Radio Turf asking, do you think Old Mutual handled the social media backlash well? Lesedi, we handled the social media backlash as best as we could. Our intention has always been to protect the information that we hold sacred about our customers and about the sensitivity of this case. However, we are now hosting this press conference realizing that a number of misconceptions can grow without us clarifying what the nature of the complexity is and why we find ourselves here, and to reinforce the fact that it remains our intention to pay and to settle according to what the decree orders. The complexity or the complication, as Karen has mentioned, is that we are now post-retirement. A portion has been taken in cash, etc. And we need to be able to unwind that and pay both parties accordingly. And we're working through that as quickly as we can.
Just a timeline question from Laledi at the SABC. She wants clarity on when our member received their lump sum, and did the divorce take place after he received his pension?
Karen?
I think that ventures quite directly into personal information, so I don't believe we should be answering that question. As I said, we've spoken today about information which is in the public domain, but which we regarded as sensitive. But we are still not prepared to venture into stuff that is absolute popular protected information.
Any more questions?
No more questions on my side, Wendy. Perhaps we just give it 1 or 2 more minutes in case people are typing.
No problem. Elaine, any questions on your side?
No, nothing coming through on the chat.
All right, let's give it another 2 minutes, and then I think we can wrap up.
A question from Catherine Child from Business Day. Just for clarity, what is a divorce decree? Is it the order that allows the divorce?
No, so the one typically in a divorce situation, the parties will come to a settlement agreement between the two of them, dealing with how their assets are split in the marriage, and then that is made a court order. And that is the court order to which the daughter keeps referring.
Thanks, Karen. No other questions as far as I can see, Wendy.
And you, Elaine?
Yeah, nothing on my side as well.
All right, I think we can then wrap up. Anyway, can I hand over to you to do the wrap up? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen from the press, for joining us this morning. We appreciate the time that you've taken to listen to us, and we hope that you appreciate the complexity within which we find ourselves in, but also understand the deep commitment we have to resolve this and to resolve it expeditiously. We are issuing the press statement as we wrap up, and it should be in your possession shortly. Thank you once again for your time.